Just move on to your destination, and you will find that complications. Just move on to a greater day. Just a little faith, you can pass the test. There's nothing less than the second best. Remember your dreams, follow all the schemes, so keep on pushing. Just move on to a greater day. To those people, beautiful people, where there's only one kind. Just move on to a greater day. Just a little faith, you can surely do it. Yes. Nothing else.
Thanks for joining, Henry.
Remember your dreams, follow all your schemes, so keep on pushing. Just move on. Peace of mind into these people, beautiful people, where there's only one kind. Just move on to a greater day. Just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. I can live and take a trip. So there may be that road ahead, but you cannot slip. Just move on toward the destination, where you will find from time to time complications. Just move on to a great day. Just a little faith, you can do it, you can surely do it. Move on, move on, move on.
Buzz, buzz, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to get started in a little bit. So just enjoy some tunes. Thanks for setting in early. My name is Jodeci. I am not Roz, but I am Roz's executive assistant and project manager. So I'm happy to be here and help push this needle.
Today I'm feeling so good. Gonna take a flight. Sunny Jamaica, darling in Kingston, back in Jamaica. Walk up the trends now, back in Jamaica. Skip across river, back in Jamaica. Bend back, down, yo, back in Jamaica. Hello?
Buzz, buzz, Eric. Let me stop this music for a second. Hi, Eric. It shows that I'm Roz, but this is Jodeci, as you know. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining and listening to our music. Eric, you should be set up to be a host. And I believe we are waiting also on Eric Range, our chair. Eric, can you hear us and can we hear you?
Hello?
Hi, Eric. We can hear you now. We got Dr. Adams on, Benjamin, Danielle Motley, Mr. Hicks, Kevin. Good group of people so far. Want to wait a couple more minutes and then for people to trickle in and then get started, Eric?
Roz?
It sounds like Roz. It looks like Roz, but it's not. I'm gonna start the music again and let us have a couple more minutes, maybe 2 more minutes, you think?
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. If Roz or, oh, can you bring Lynn up, Lynn Abramson from Clean Energy Business Network
I sure can.
to the panel?
I sure can. Promote to panelist. Who else, my friend? Hi, Lynn. Buzz, buzz. This is not Roz. This is Jodeci, her executive assistant.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Oh, you know what? I had myself on mute.
I hear you.
We hear you, Eric.
Yeah, okay. I'm a little, I'm a little old, so that factors in at times, the age. I'm sorry, not as young as I used to be.
Well, with how fast you go, Eric, and all of the accomplishments you have, I beg to differ.
I try to do what I can. I try to do what I can.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is this Roz? Are you on too?
No, I'm Roz. Jodeci is Roz.
Oh, Jodeci. Okay.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
I'm the controller.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So we can go on ahead and get started in a couple of minutes. Let's just give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. And we do have a presentation, PowerPoint to talk through.
Eric, are you going to share that? Can you share your screen
Yes.
with everyone and do it? Okay, perfect.
Yes, I can.
You're awesome.
All And we have well, first off, I want to just say, and let's kick this off. Want to thank Minorities for Medical Marijuana for hosting us tonight with respect to the Department of Energy's new Community Coalition Prize, which is a prize targeted towards community organizations and stakeholders, nonprofits, and other stakeholders to advance building community and engagement around clean energy projects and initiatives to advance community awareness and engagement and hopefully outcomes for how we can infuse more of the clean energy technology and programming into our own lives, into our businesses, and also the opportunities that come from that for employment, for contracting, for innovators, and for others within this particular space. And so I want to also welcome Lynn Abramson. Well, I'm Eric Foster, as you know, I'm the National Policy Director for Cannabis and Hemp for Minorities for Medical Marijuana, I'm with Banks and Company and also with Clean Energy Business Network. Lynn, if you can introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about Clean Energy Business Network.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Abramson. I'm president of the Clean Energy Business Network, and we've had the pleasure of working with Eric Foster and the Banks and Company team on our clean energy initiatives now, I think going on about 2 years. And I've spoken with some of you previously. I think I recognize Eric's name on this call, possibly some others, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight about the Community Coalition Prize. Just a quick introduction of the Clean Energy Business Network. We are a nationwide nonprofit organization that serves as the small business voice for the clean energy economy. And so we are working to promote awareness and access to a variety of federal funding opportunities and other programs to extend the benefits of clean energy and the economic opportunities that it's creating to a more inclusive set of stakeholders. And so Eric has been a great partner in this regard. And I know we've spoken to some of those on the call today about some of the opportunities in bioenergy and some other emerging fields. So really looking forward to the opportunity to talk to you about this great new prize opportunity.
All right. And we have Roz McCarthy, founder and president for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Roz, do you want to welcome everybody and say a couple words before we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for the tardiness. My computer was giving me problems. So Eric, thank you so much for your diligence on this. I want to welcome everyone. We are recording this, so we will make sure that we have this available. It's very time sensitive. So I would say just pay attention to what's being presented and know that there's a lot of time sensitivity with it. And then if you have any follow-up questions or what have you, we will make sure that we create an opportunity for you to facilitate, to share those questions. But otherwise, thank you, Eric Foster, and thank you for everyone that's on, and have a good evening.
All right, well, thank you all. So I'm gonna kick this off because we've got two presentations. We're gonna talk about this particular prize, but we're also gonna talk about other programs that are being offered by the Department of Energy that can be of opportunity for Minorities for Medical Marijuana and for other organizations that have joined us tonight for this meeting to apply for, that are really about bringing communities of color into the clean energy sector and connecting the two going forward. So this particular prize, all right. All right, so this particular, okay. So I want to also mention too, so this is a new cash prize that is a new cash prize competition from the Department of Energy. And Clean Energy Business Network, as Lynn mentioned, we're not a part of the Department of Energy, but serve as a partner, which is a power connector that works to spread information about the prize and provide support to applicants who participate in this particular prize. So let me give a little bit of background. This particular prize, the Community Coalition Prize, is for existing and new community coalitions that develop strategies to address energy inequalities or clean energy opportunities. So there could be a number of examples, anything from energy efficiency upgrades, both in residential homes, but also in commercial businesses. One of the things to think about from M4MM and a number of the other member and partner organizations that are here today, clean energy initiatives that can help you reduce your fuel costs and heating costs and overall operating costs for running your business, as well as clean energy projects to lower energy costs, workforce development training programs for new jobs in clean energy resiliency, as well as resiliency projects in areas at risk of natural disasters. One of the things to think about from the vantage point of hemp, that's something that ties into clean energy as well, so something to take into consideration also. And any of the activities that an organization would go after within this particular prize have to align with President Biden's Justice40 Initiative. So that's something that can be applicable. And just to tell everybody a little bit about the Justice40 Initiative, that is the Biden administration's objective to infuse diversity, equity, and inclusion to reach communities who've not been normally reached through federal programming, specifically in these areas, as well as other areas across the federal government, but specifically to ensure that 40% of funding, contracting, grants, and other opportunities in the energy sector or in the environmental sector and climate change mitigation sectors go to efforts to reach disadvantaged and disconnected communities. So coalitions can be or should be led by a nonprofit, but your partners can include businesses, schools, trade associations, professional associations, business groups. So it can include a host of other organizations that could be your partners. And the prize is similar to another prize that the Department of Energy has, which is the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize, which awarded $3.6 million to 18 groups engaged in energy justice work. And so just to also give a little bit of background, the DOE, as I mentioned, is serious about getting these resources out to communities and organizations needed. This chart here on the right shows the phases for this particular contest. So phase one is the coalition commitment, and it closes in December. December 7th is the application date, and it would award $30,000 each to 10 coalitions who win those grants. And this serves as a down payment to further help the winning organizations to develop their coalitions and their programming. Now, all 10 finalists will get another $115,000 in April with no further competition as long as they continue to meet the prize requirements. So essentially, the 10 winners are guaranteed $145,000 total as long as they keep progressing on the project. And then at the end, going into phase three, the teams will submit a final impact report 1 year from now, and one team will be selected for an additional $50,000 grand prize. And so just to give now a little bit of backdrop on the application process and how this particular segment works. So for organizations that are interested in applying, the application due date for phase one, as I mentioned, is December 7th, 2022. And the components of applying, and don't be discouraged because of the timing or if you're new to this prize, the Department of Energy is looking for ideas of how you can positively impact communities. So it's definitely open. There's no guaranteed winners or not. It's definitely something viable for all applicants to go after. So the components of the application include a 90-second video with, you don't have to worry about fancy special effects. It can be something done on your phone. A 2,000-word narrative that defines your community coalition and the energy opportunity or challenge that you want to address. And is attached to the link, and we'll share this PowerPoint with you all, but there's a link here that will also include how to use a template. So there's a template for starting your application. Then you need letters of commitment or support from coalition members or other relevant stakeholders, a summary slide, a cover page, and that's it. So CEBN and our fellow power connectors, Browning the Green Space and the Neighborhood Housing Services of South Florida are here to help with applications and provide resources. We can give feedback on applications or connect you with other potential partners. So that is this particular prize. And Lynn, do you want to add anything to what I have went over? Or Roz, do you have anything you wanted to kind of chime in on this?
I do. So I want to break it down to the ridiculous for everyone. So I put something in chat. I don't know if you see that, if you can click on that in chat. That was for, there was a phase 1 Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize. Is this a part of this opportunity or is this different?
So great question. This is actually different.
Looking. Okay, so the reason why I put it in the chat is because I think we as folks that are on here, M4MM included, I think we need to see examples of different winning grant replies that have been submitted. So with this one in particular, they had over 10 that were selected for phase 1 and phase 2, and they won $200,000. And in phase 2, they can go after more funding. So it seems there's some type of similarity in how it's laid out. I think right now, even being able to foster ideas around clean energy, because most of us that are here, we're in hemp and cannabis, since it's federally illegal, may not be the place. So if our play is around hemp and the sustainability of hemp and clean energy, are there any ideas or any things that you could share in regards to examples of things that we can, I mean, how simple or how complex do the ideas need to be?
So I have one idea, and one idea could be for businesses that are struggling with, businesses that are members that M4MM services that are struggling with their energy costs. So there could be projects around how to help them build in clean energy to their operating approach so they can cut down their costs. And that can touch across businesses in any different sectors. We could classify a cluster of businesses or business types that could be serviced by that particular type of project, I would think. So that's one area. Lynn, though, please chime in, because with the experience of seeing these programs and how other community partners and other organizations, we were just in DC for a summit with the IEIP winners, and they've got some interesting projects that are cross-state collaborations in some instances around the country. So Lynn, if you can speak to some of that as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And that's a great question, Roz. So to reiterate what Eric said, this is different than the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize, but has some similarities. They are very similarly targeted at community-based initiatives and at addressing justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in clean energy. The Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize was more explicitly focused on sort of innovation, so encouraging, business creation, energy innovation, wealth building, workforce development, STEM training, etc. And this prize is more focused on, I would say, sort of implementation of climate and energy solutions. So looking at what are some environmental justice concerns around climate in your community, or energy access, or expanding access to clean energy, or the clean energy economic sectors. So a little bit less on the sort of early stage innovation and more boots on the ground. What do we need? And I think
more grassroots in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
but both of them highly grassroots. And just to give you a sense of the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize, there was so much interest. There were more than 200 applicants, and about 80% of those were first-time applicants to DOE funding. So it really was reaching the target of, organizations that weren't already part of the system, weren't already getting tons of grants from DOE. And one of the things I would like to share, and I can't quite figure out, I can only seem to chat with the hosts and panelists, but I can share this link if you want to share with attendees, either in the chat or in a follow-up email. We did a workshop and teaming event for this prize, Community Coalition Prize, and we actually had a couple of speakers who were from the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize to share their takeaways, what advice they have for applicants. And so there's a lot of really transferable knowledge. And I would say this really is meant to reach groups that are not already part of the DOE system. So if you're kind of thinking about how do we, and it's meant to help either support existing coalitions or new coalitions. So if you're thinking we want to segue into the energy sector, we're not really there yet. This is supposed to really help you at a very early stage build that coalition and build that capacity. So don't be intimidated by being a little bit new to the energy sector.
Sure. So can we look at this as a possibility to be an extension of maybe a current grantee that's been awarded, maybe it's a multiple year, high dollar award, and maybe be an extension of or find out one piece of their project that is not focused on our community, where people can maybe reach out to them and literally say, hey, we would like to apply for this, and make it an extension of your program? Would that be something like, as an idea wise? Especially if it's something that we like. So I say that all to say that, guys, that clean energy and sustainability is not going anywhere. We deal with it on our side of the business, especially with hemp, because from biofuel to carbon sequestration to a great protein source from a food perspective, the hemp plant gives us so much to work with. So if you run out of ideas, what I always say is, who's already been granted funding? All that information is open source. I've written grants before, and all that contract, who's the point person, all that's open source information. So you can literally, if you spend about 30, 45 minutes to an hour just kind of searching out past grant recipients or what have you, find out the ones that have had, look at what their level of, of interest and what the grant was pushing them to do. And maybe there's an opportunity on that side for you to not only take advantage of this opportunity, but to really get in the clean energy fray. And I think as long as we have Biden as president, we're going to see more dollars and more focus on this segment of concerns for our country.
Yeah, I think those are great ideas. Go for it, Eric. No, go for it.
Go ahead.
You go. Okay, I was going to say that, no, I think that's a great idea. You can go after existing awardees. And I will say that some of the teams, I'm actually trying to pull up the list of Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize awardees. And I know some of them are going to also apply for this prize, and they are eligible to do that.
Sure.
But the whole point is to build coalitions. So there's a lot of ways you can go after this. You could go after folks that are already in the energy space or have grants, but remember that this is meant to also reach new audiences. One of the things I feel like, the folks on this call can really leverage is your expertise with community-based economic development, because the hemp and I would say the medicinal and the recreational kind of growing economic opportunities in those areas these are very community-based initiatives where you're trying to create, new industries, wealth opportunities, and that direct experience is very highly transferable. So you could take that expertise and then, it's meant to build coalitions. So you might want to find a partner then who's got some experience on the clean energy or climate side who can bring that to the table. It's very flexible in terms of who can be part of the coalition. The only requirement is that a nonprofit be that anchor. But you can have economic development organizations, local governments, universities, businesses, all part of that coalition and that team.
HBCUs, N4MM does a lot with HBCUs, so that's an opportunity area right there.
Also, Christopher Hope added. I'm a member of the Sustainability Council with the NCIA. We're coming up with guidelines for sustainability for the cannabis industry. I could see using these funds to disseminate of these guidelines to less represented cannabis and hemp businesses. And so, it seems like, yeah, and this is what we do great in regards to community outreach and understand what our communities are in need of. And it can start as, it doesn't have to be so hyper, like sometimes we feel like it has to be like this whole high, very, very high level of education or high level of intersection between community and the purpose of the grant. It could be very low level, being able to show a connectivity to an issue that is dealing with, climate, energy, renewable energy, things of that nature. And then we just, we use our skill set in understanding how our community needs to be educated. It could be, it could be a HBCU, it could be a faith-based organization, it could be a community-based organization. It could be those that are in fraternities. It could be something that's associated with your fraternity in regards to that. It could be workforce development. I'm looking at some of the things that have been out there regarding this other piece, and it definitely gives you food for thought and makes you kind of think about, like, okay, what are some ideas that I could tap into?
Nope.
Yeah,
definitely.
those are some great ideas, Roz, and then also great idea from Christopher in the chat. And I mean, yeah, this can be either on the provider side of energy solutions, but also, to Christopher's point, the demand side. I mean, hemp is a very energy intensive plant, but kind of leveraging those best practices about, what are the sustainability guidelines is definitely a relevant area. Yeah. So some great ideas.
Hey, Eric, before you go to the next slide, can you just put up again, so what's the timeline and also what's the funding amount again, just as a reminder? Walk us through that one more time, and then you can transition to your next presentation.
All right, let me just pull that one back up.
Yeah, one more time, so we make sure we're right with you, brother.
All right. Okay, so the application period, it's due by December 7th, and the application process includes a 90-second video, a summary slide and cover page, a 2,000-word narrative that describes your coalition, community, and the energy opportunity or challenge that you hope to address. And as I mentioned in the presentation, there's a link for being able to access a template to use to kind of start to fill out what that narrative would look like, as well as letters of commitment or support from the partners or coalition members and stakeholders that you're going to work with. So if a group is going to apply and they've got 3 other community partners, then those community partners would give letters of support. And if there are other organizations or community groups that they're going to work with, if awarded this funding, then you'd want letters of support from them as well. So it's not like when writing to a grant with specific guidelines and reporting details and requirements where you have to get really into the granular weeds of everything. This one is more aspirational. These type of opportunities are aspirational and community building, and that's a good thing.
Can a nonprofit be on multiple applications or only one?
They can be on multiple applications, but I think only the lead on one.
Okay.
So if they're a coalition partner on another one, but not the lead, they can do that.
Okay.
And Eric mentioned too, the application itself is pretty straightforward. I mean, this is like a few pages of writing and it's not highly technical, but the other thing is he mentioned the reporting. These are cash grants and they're really meant to infuse that money in the project without a whole lot of bureaucracy. Obviously, the better you're reporting, the more your chances of winning the final grand prize, but really it's just take the funds, experiment, do the best you can, and very minimal reporting.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so Lynn, I'm gonna ask you to help me quarterback the other one because that is one that you know a lot better than I in full detail. So let me start the slideshow for this. All right, 40 panels. All right.
Yeah, so you can just skip ahead because we covered some of this. I talked a little bit about our organization. I will just take you, maybe keep going to this slide. This is just,
Okay.
and we can share all of these links. But we have a whole bunch of resources that if you're looking for other types of funding can be useful. So we have a completely free database of funding resources from federal government, state government, private sector funding opportunities in the energy and climate space. And some of these are geared towards businesses and some are geared towards community-based organizations. And so we have a whole bunch of tags that you can filter on and look for that. And then we have a whole bunch of links to blog series and events that just unpack what kinds of opportunities are coming out and make it really simple, like explain a lot of the jargon of what's coming out. So we've had a bunch of legislation enacted in the past couple of years, from the bipartisan infrastructure law, the Inflation Reduction Act. You know, Roz mentioned earlier, there's a lot coming out of the Biden administration, and a lot of that has been codified in law. So, you know, regardless of, I guess, what might happen with, you know, the midterms tomorrow and then in the future, there's, you know, a lot of this money's coming out. It's coming out no matter what. So there's a lot of resources. We're trying to make that fairly straightforward to navigate. And if you go to the next slide, I've also put links to some of the federal agencies that have programs that are available to communities. And so, you know, you can find grants that match your interests. And our organization is here to be a resource. So, you know, reach out to Eric, reach out to me, any of our team members. Did you want to briefly cover the SBIR opportunities, Eric?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay. So why don't we skip ahead to that, because we talked about the Coalition Prize. And then, okay, so
And then do we have,
say that again, Ross?
No, I was just going to say, just make sure when you get a chance to put how we get in contact with you and learn more about assistance that you could provide from your office, if that's in chat as well. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll put that in the chat. We'll put Eric's and my email addresses and our general kind of inbox as well. And would it be helpful to kind of, we could send you a PDF of this slide deck if you want to share?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then all the links are active in there. So for businesses, and I know I've talked to some of the folks on this call about this before, but the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs are available for businesses and also university partnerships to help promote research and development in emerging technology areas. So if you go to the next slide, basically the SBIR are grants to small businesses to help them develop and commercialize innovative technologies. And then the Small Business Technology Transfer Program is the same, except that it's for partnerships between universities and small businesses. And all of the major federal research agencies have these programs. The Department of Energy included is actually just right now launching its current solicitation. So today they put out the topics. They have very specific topics where they say, this is what we want to study in solar or bioenergy or whatever technology you have. So they put that out today. And this learn more link, if you'll go there, will, you don't have to go there now. Well, we could show you.
But you know, the way it's set up, it wouldn't, if it jumps to another screen, I'd have to log out of this and then go to that. So
okay, so I think we can share this after the fact, but basically everything will be on that website. So they released the topics today. They're going to release the full set of rules for how to apply on December 16th, but it generally is pretty similar from year to year. So if you look at previous years, you can get started. Not a whole lot is changing. The only big things that are changing have to do with things like foreign ownership. If your company is, has foreign investors, we can talk about what that looks like. But I think for most of the people on this call, it's not going to be relevant. January 3rd, the letters of intent are due. And so these are a really brief synopsis of the project that you're planning to do. And then February 21st, the full funding opportunity is due. Unlike the prizes that we discussed, the Community Coalition Prize, this application is kind of a beast, but there are a lot of resources to help. And I will say, if you are a business owner that's trying to do something innovative in the technology space, it's worth it to go through this process because you get non-dilutive capital. No one's taking equity in your company. And the people who get these grants are twice as likely to get follow-on private investment. So it really helps you to prove your technology. So if you go to the next slide, Eric, I'll just kind of quickly cover some resources to help. Okay, never mind. I forgot what we had in here, but to just cover quickly, and actually this is a good place to see our contact information. There is completely free technical assistance for first-time applicants through something that's called the Phase 0 program, and that opens today. You can apply for that, and if you go to that Learn More site that is linked on this, it will take you to some information about that. All you have to do is just put in your name, your company information, where you're from. It's really simple, and it's first come, first serve. So, and they will walk you through the whole application process, understanding what's going to be required of you, what the reporting requirements are going to be, just determine if this is really a good fit for you. So I would definitely encourage anyone who's interested to go ahead right now and apply for that free technical assistance. And we've heard really good things about that from alumni of that program.
Can I ask you a question, Lynn? When the funding happens, does that funding come in drips, or let's say if you're awarded and do you get all that funding at one time, or are you having to basically get the money sent to you or deposited in your account after you hit certain benchmarks? I've heard some things like with the climate grant that was just awarded that, folks are having to do the work. So you have to go get the money or from a private investors or bank or whatever, and use that as collateral towards, do the work and then present that to the USDA to get reimbursed.
Yeah, that is a great question. So with both of these, you get the money up front. With the Coalition Prize, when you first are selected, they'll give you $30,000, and then you have a few weeks to keep making progress on your coalition, and then you get the next $115,000. So it's pretty quick.
Sure.
And then with this one, it takes a few months to actually get the grant, but you're not supposed to start on the work until you get the money. So, and it's I'm trying to recall exactly. It depends. It's like generally 100 to 200,000 for the first phase, and you get the funding up front. And then for the second phase, if you basically you make progress on your research and you say, okay, we think we have a viable technology. Now we want to try to commercialize it. You can apply for the second phase of this, which is, I believe, $1.1 million or so, like kind of give or take, depending on the project. And as you get further into that second phase, there's kind of like phase 2B sort of milestones you hit, then they eventually start triggering some private match components, but it's not until you've already made a lot of progress on the research.
Okay. And there's actually an eligibility kind of test. And so it's a workflow where basically asks you, are you a small business? If you say no, then you can't apply. If you have you ever submitted an application before? If you say yes, you can't apply. But if it's no, then it gives you what the next steps are, which is cool.
Yeah. And you can apply for this even if you've applied for other grants before, but you can't get the free technical assistance unless you're first time.
Gotcha. Is there a nonprofit core as a lead for this one as well?
Nope. This is entirely focused on small businesses or those partnerships between small businesses and universities.
Okay.
And
Is there, but there's not like a carve out for addressing concerns in urban core or minority communities, nothing like that in this?
No, and that's a great question. There is an intentional recruitment effort, and there's very, I will tell you the past records on these small business innovation grants are not great, you know, in terms of minority owned or women owned firms. But there is a huge intentional effort and a lot of work in the outreach side to try to recruit and provide support in the forms of technical assistance to kind of new applicants and new demographics. There is no specific carve out, which would probably be helpful. That doesn't exist, but at least on the recruitment side, a lot of attention to that. And there are also some, as you get further in the prize, like extra bonuses that you can get for hiring interns from, you know, HBCUs or MSIs and things like that, but that's more in phase 2.
Does it seem like, just out of curiosity, does it seem like some of just, I know that maybe this is your core area, but it seems to me that some of these grant opportunities outside the USDA, outside of just EPA, but it seems like there is a more of a focus of having more minority and women really participate in a meaningful way. Do you feel that way across the board?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Eric, I mean, maybe you can share your perspective, because you came into this like maybe 2 years ago, getting into the energy sector, and you were so enthusiastic about the economic opportunities. We started talking, but have you seen a real meaning? I mean, I know I have seen a meaningful shift. It's not just talk, but I want to get your kind of newcomer's perspective into this field.
Yes. So considering that the previous administration is filing lawsuits and running campaign ads talking about these type of programs are anti-white and white discriminatory, this shows that that's a good thing, that these programs, that this administration is actually saying the world and the country includes minority businesses, minority community organizations, HBCUs, tribal colleges, Hispanic and Asian Pacific colleges and universities, and we need to make sure that they have access, because we have not been doing that. We failed. So when someone can first admit a failure and then do intentional activities, that has been one of the fun things about this, because in all the years that I've been a lobbyist and have dealt with federal governments, state governments, local governments, didn't know the Department of Energy or different agencies in the federal government had all of these dollars for programs that can impact small businesses of color, can impact communities of color. You know, one of the things that I think about something like this is because of, and Roz, when we met with Lynn last year to talk about some of these programs, you know, Eric Range had talked about things that he was doing on the hemp side that also were with water filtration, water cleansing. Those are things that are perfect for SBIR because it's solar, it's water, hydroponics, it's wind, it's biofuel, it's all of the different segments. And that can create some opportunities for some of our members. If we've got members that are doing innovative things and never thought that there might be money that they could get from the Department of Energy to expand that innovative thing that they just, you know, messed around with in their business, there is. So that is exciting to be able to take this out. It's been exciting for me to be able to get this information out and for us to be able to do it across the country, getting out to Native American tribes in the Dakotas and Idaho, getting it out to African American groups like urban leagues down in Florida, getting it out to Asian and Pacific groups on the West Coast, getting it out to Hispanic groups, getting out to some Arab American groups and Chaldean groups. It's been fun to get this information and then actually know that people have started applying. We've been able to see that as something tangible too, an uptick and increase in non-white applicants It doesn't take away from the white community. It just means that everybody has a shot. And that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm hyped about all of this. This has been a fun client project and a fun area to work in because it's a part of changing and impacting lives. It's like the work that we do for M4MM and that I do for M4MM. So
Yeah.
it's about changing lives and impacting communities. So this is the new hotness, changing lives and impacting communities.
Excellent. I think I apologize for all those people. If you want to be, if you have a question, I put you to panelists, so don't decline it. That's so that you can see the chat. So, because right now you guys can't see the chat, and I want you to see the chat. So do not decline unless you can see it. If you can see chat, so that you can see all the links that are being dropped in here, great. But if you can't, I'm going to open it up so that you guys can either ask questions or be able to see the chat so that that you can also be able to get some of these some of the things that we're putting inside of here. Okay. And if you don't mind, Eric, can I see if anybody has any questions to raise their hand? I'm allowing folks to talk.
Yes, no, definitely. Please go ahead.
Any questions so far, guys? Any comments?
I stopped share before my computer goes out on me. It went out on me earlier today in another meeting.
Okay. So I'll open up for those folks that are on, all the attendees. You should be able to talk. You should be able to see the chat that we've put some different links on there for you guys.
Panelists and hosts, so Roz, Eric, and Lynn, it looks like you were sending your message to the host and panelist only. If you click on that little blue box in the chat and hit on everyone, then everyone will be able to see the links. But I'm going to go through and copy everyone's links so far.
Nice.
But I don't see everyone. I just see Roz twice, Lynn, and host and panelists.
Now it's everyone. But yeah, if you can go Jodeci and just copy paste and put all the links in there that we put in there, that'd be great.
I got you. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. So let's do it like a quick breakdown again. So the first opportunity has to be led by a nonprofit, is clean energy focused. There's a $30,000 if your project is granted, if your project is accepted. Then there's a process where you go for the next award, which is like $145,000, something like that.
Well, it's $115,000 that you get in April of 2023, my birthday month. So that'll be a gift from me to everybody that does. And it's $115,000 for you to finish. So if you were one of the ones that got the initial award, you're going to get that next $115,000.
Okay.
And it's just like a down payment kind of, it's like, get started. Here's some money to help you pay some people and get going on what you need to do. But unless you really bail out and for some reason, aren't making progress and you say, you know what, I can't do this, you're going to get the other $115,000. It's a guarantee.
Okay. So the total amount is $145,000. There's not a number 3. Okay. All right. So good.
There is a number. One team will get a $50,000 grand prize.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Got it. So that is very much focused on urban core areas, minority communities. So that is a very specific, and it has to be led by a nonprofit, 501c3. But you can drive one application and also be a part of another. You just can only be the driver of one. Correct? All right. Yeah. So that's number 1. Then number 2, SBIR, or I don't know if I'm getting all the acronyms correct, but there's a small business innovation grant. There's all of the information about that. That is for a private entity that has either something on the tech side, something on fuel, something. I actually put in chat, there is on inside of, as I was looking at it, there's, what I put? There's articles, DOE awards, $36 million promoting equity and diversity, clean energy innovation. Okay, no, that's the first one I put. So there is the AmericanMadeChallenges.org. It's Inclusive Energy Innovation Phase 1. There's just check on one of those different links because they actually walk you through what you have to let's see. Sorry guys, I don't mean to be stumbling. Let me just pull it up so I'm not. So it's actually the press release for the U.S. Department Small Innovation, Business Innovation. So it gives you the topics, it gives you the dates, it gives you the event when everything is due. It gives you also for every area, it tells you what some of the type of projects they're looking for. Hopefully I'm interpreting that right, Lynn.
Yeah, so the only thing I will say about the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize, that one already happened. And the reason we dropped that in the chat is because you were raising some questions about what are some similar types of projects that have gotten funding before.
Gotcha.
But I know there's a lot of links. And what I would say is if I'm gonna put in the chat, if you only remember 2 links, our website has summary pages on the SBIR and the Community Coalition Prize. So I'll just drop 2 links. And honestly, if you end up at our website, they're like the first things there. So you will end up in the right place. So you can just go to everything from these links, and we'll also share the slides and those, you can click on those individual links to learn more about the specific aspect.
Okay. Yeah, so Lynn, if you look at what I just put in the chat, that's what I was referring to. And if you look at the schedule box, it says topics released November 7th, 2022, funding opportunity issued December 12th, 2022. And then it says letters of intent are due on January 3rd, 2023.
Yeah, that's for the small business innovation research.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure I'm correct. So thank you so much. Okay, so but follow what Lynn said, like her resources to her office, all that stuff. It's a lot in there, but we're so grateful to have you on, Lynn, tonight to like walk us through this. And thank you, Eric, for the work that you're doing of the outreach and getting this out to our community. And guys, what we'll do is we will replay this. So I will we'll replay it later this week, or we'll replay it for later this week and then next week as well. And that way people can still be able to gain insight as to what's going on.
Oh, thank you. That's great, because yeah, the fun thing about all of this, people need to know, do not sleep on the opportunities. When people complain and say, well, what's out there that can benefit us? There's a whole lot.
Yeah.
So we can get the information to you, then go apply. So that would be my message to anybody that's watching this in later replays. Apply, come up with an idea. It can be anything. One of my frat brothers was asking me for an idea, and I said, well, you could do things around helping seniors look at or learn more about how to access some federal dollars that can help them with energy efficiency in their home, which is going to cut down their heating costs. It's going to save them money. I said it can be as simple as that. And you could work with, our frat and a few other entities, and we're not a 501c3, but you could work with a few other entities and we could latch in and then apply. And he was like, wow, okay. So that's the thing. People just got to jump on these things and go for them. Don't leave it on the table. At least apply. The worst they can do is say no to you. And as a 2-time divorcee, if the worst somebody can say to you is no, you live.
Well, it sounds like you've had at least 2 ladies say yes to you, Eric. So
that's right.
Temporarily. Then they came back was like, oh hell.
And then a hard no. No. Yeah, but just to echo what Eric said, I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg, and Eric and I will come knocking on your door many, many times, because billions of dollars are coming out. I mean, I've been working in this clean energy space, or some, kind of like the infrastructure space now, for about 2 decades, and we've been in a resource constrained space for so long, and now there's just so much funding coming out, and with Justice40, 40% of those investments are targeted for disadvantaged communities. frankly, I don't think the federal agencies have the first clue even how to do that. You know, there's an amazing opportunity, but it's also a lot. It's a lot of money to administer and a lot of work, but so go for these opportunities, and we're here to help you. So ask any questions that you have along the way.
I was just looking at one. It's talking about buildings decarbonization, and literally it says decarbonizing buildings HVAC direct air capture systems, and it talks about what they are trying to do. And you literally could, sometimes it's not you, meaning like, I'll say CJ, you have your business and what you do. Sometimes it's just a entity that knows how to bring all these other pieces together to be able to go after a project together. So let's say, for example, if you know someone on HVAC, and then you have someone that is hemp farming, that's learning how to break that hemp fiber down so that you can use it from like a added to air filter. Like, you can literally bring all these pieces together, and you're the one that kind of project manages it. And it's almost like if you have an idea of things that you want to do, and I'm just using hemp because that's what the industry we're in, now's the time to kind of rally the different pieces together. And then from there, you know, you just submit your idea. Like, here's my idea, here's what we want to do. It's almost like a research project, right? But they're paying you to do the research, and with the fingers crossed that you're able to come out on the other side and maybe have something that shows efficacy and that you can monetize. And then now it becomes innovation, because now you put a patent on it, and the sky's the limit. All right, guys, it is now 8:30. Any other questions, comments?
All right. Well,
I will
thank
make
you
sure
all.
this is on the YouTube.
Hi. All right. If you will hit stop. So we'll stop recording.